Greetings to you all. My name is Lukonde Makupe from Lusaka Baptist Church, and I'm so delighted to be part of the Reformed Studios meditations. And during our time together, we are going to take a series in Luke chapter 15, and the title of our meditations will be Lessons About God from the Parables. And as we begin, I'd like us to have an introduction about the parables, and I will just draw you to Luke chapter 15, verse 1 and 2, which reads, Then all the tax collectors and sinners drew near to him to hear him. And the Pharisees and scribes complained, saying, This man receives sinners and eats with them. And of course, verse 3, so he spoke this parable to them. Dear friends, before we begin to look at lessons about God from the parables, it is important for us to understand the parable and the parables that are before us. It is important because we need to understand the context in which they were given. We need to understand also the reason why they were given. But first of all, what is a parable? I'm sure we hear about this word all the time. A parable is a story that carries a deep spiritual meaning. We are therefore saying it is not a historical record of something that actually happened. But a parable is an earthly story with a spiritual meaning, as we have said. So whatever the Lord said in the parables that we have had a deep spiritual meaning. And in most of these, the meaning and the lesson is about the state of man and about God. Let us ask a few more important questions. What is the context of these parables that we have in chapter 15? What we see here is that in verse 1, the tax collectors and sinners drew near to him. To who? To Christ. To do what? To hear him. And these were condemned people. People that ordinarily were not welcome in the presence of a rabbi. That is the context. What is the reason for the parable? Because we are told in verse 2, the Pharisees and scribes complained. And they were complaining that Jesus was welcoming. He received these people who were condemned, and he ate with these sinners. He had fellowship with them rather. So because of that, the scribes thought it was wrong. In other words, they asked questions. Why should this person who calls himself a rabbi, who calls himself God, interact with sinners? And that was a big problem. These people, they can't just understand why he's hanging out with sinners. They missed the whole point. They didn't know who Christ was. They didn't know what his mission was. Luke 19 verse 10. The Son of Man came to seek and to save the lost. They missed it. Friends, if we do not know who God is, we'll be offended when men come to church. If we do not know who God is, we'll be offended when people show interest in the things of God. When that person who is a drunkard comes to church, we give him attitude. Knowing who Christ is, knowing who God is very important. Therefore, sinners must come to church to hear him, and we must let them do that. Christians must be excited when sinners come to church, and they should not be hurt. They should not give attitude, but they should be excited and evangelize these men. What should be our prayer? Lord, help me to have the right attitude toward other men and reach out to them. Amen.